Hello and welcome to Quassi's Bell Tower with your host, Quassi. And today we are going to make an LED torch dungeon column. Here it is. So let's get to it. So to make the LED torch dungeon column, you're going to need a few items. First, you're going to need some LED lights, at least 2, and these are the flickering ones. These are pre-wired, and I will put a link down in the description so you can check them out. If not, you're going to have to learn how to solder, which I'm going to need to do a little bit of soldering in this video anyways. You're going to need a tea light, maybe one of the cheap ones from Walmart. Those would work just fine for this project. You can use them, but I have this battery clip for the CR2032 battery, which you will need, and I will put a link to these if you would like some. Also, you may or may not need the plastic covers that you would use to cover any of your soldering work on the LED lights. These are the shrink tubes is what they're called. And also I got these little jewelry pieces at Hobby Lobby. You can find them. I don't know, there's like a few that come in a package. You're going to need these to make the torch, part of the torch light here on there, and that's all that is. Next, you're going to need some pins, some tiny ones. You don't have to, but I prefer to use these because they will hold your project when we're doing this together a lot better. And it won't fall apart on accident, like when your cat knocks it over or something like that. And then if you need to, one of the things you're going to need is hole punchers. Now these are my leather hole punchers. I've used these before in videos. I'll put a link down to them if I can find these again. Or what I used to do is just take a pen, and just push this through the foam, and that would be your circle. You're also going to need some tacky glue, or you can use Elmer's glue, that's fine, but I prefer the tacky glue. And just for something new, I got these little key rings, and I got these at Hobby Lobby. I think you can probably find these on Amazon, I'm not sure. But these are Fantasy Tales, and you can find them at Hobby Lobby, like I said. So that's all the items you're going to need to do this project. So the first thing we're going to need to do for this project is to get some XPS foam. And if you don't have XPS foam, you could probably use the foam board. The only thing is your project's probably going to be a little bit thicker if you don't have a thermal cutter. So, but for now we're going to use the XPS foam because that's what I use in most of my projects. So what we're going to do is we are going to do some shaving down, some strips right now, and they are all going to be 1/8 inch in thickness. So now I'm just going to run this through. So a 6-inch long piece should be good enough for the sides that we need, but if you got more, that's better because you never know. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first cut, which my foam is at 3/4 inch thickness, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through again, but I'm going to take off 1/18 of an inch because I want this at 5/8. So I'll set this up to 5/8 and run that through one more time. Now I'm going to take my one strip of foam, which is at 5/8, and I'm going to make a few cuts. I'm going to make 2 at 1.5 and 2 at 1.25. One and a quarter. So now we need some wider pieces that are going to be 1/8 in thickness. So I'm going to use this piece and run it through. Now that I have my wider piece of the thin foam, I'm going to set this for right now to 1 inch and run this through. This will be for the middle column. And now I will set this to 3/4 thickness. And run this piece through again. So now I'm going to set this at 1.5 inches. We're going to be cutting the piece for the top. Now I don't need this whole long piece, but I'm going to run this through anyways. Now that I've got my 1.5 inch piece, I'm going to turn it horizontal and run it through the other direction to make a square. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 3-inch thick foam and I am going to cut this down to 1.5 inches. This will be the top piece to the column. Now this piece will be a solid piece because we will not need any wiring or lighting on there. Now I'm going to take my 3 1/4 and 1 inch foam pieces and cut them to 2.5 inches in length. I'm also making sure that I cut 2 of each of these. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to find the center of this circle. Now there are several ways you can do it, but we're just going to do it from corner to corner. And do it that way. Now I'm going to use my 1 inch leather hole puncher to punch a hole in the foam. You could use anything really. I've taken pens and taken them apart and pushed them through and done it that way, but I really prefer to use these leather hole punchers. I'll put a link down to them if you're interested in them at all. They go anywhere from, I think they go from 1 inch to 1/8 of an inch, and they're actually quite nice. So I'm going to try to center this the best I can. I can't really see what I'm doing. I can kind of do a little pre-hole and then realize I'm off, because this is all going to get covered up, so you're not going to see this at all once you put it all together. And I think that's close enough, and I'm just going to push this through, give it a little bit of a twist, and it's not a very thick piece of foam, so it should be easy to go through. As you can see, you can kind of see the indent in it already. But you'll hear it crack and pop, and then you know you're through. And there you go. It is totally out. So there you go. It's not 100% centered, but once you put that column on top of it, nobody will even know. Now I'm going to decide which 2 walls that I want to put the holes on for the torch lights. I think I'm going to go with the 1 inch ones to be on the safe side, because they are a little bit wider, and I think when I put the hole through them, it'll be a little less weak on that at all. Now I'm going to use a 3/16 hole puncher. I wouldn't go any bigger than that. If so, you could go smaller and then just work your way up if you think the hole's too small. I don't want it too big and nothing works right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to find the center of this 1 inch piece, which is going to be 1/2 inch, and I'm going to mark it on one side and mark it on the other and draw a line down the middle of it. Now, just it doesn't matter that you're writing on this foam because it's all going to be hidden, so it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to go up I'm going to go up a 3/4 of an inch and mark a little circle there. I'm going to take this piece of foam, the other piece, and put that right underneath because they should be the same. Well, it looks like I had to do a battery change, but we're right back. Basically, a line from the center, from here to there, and then I put a mark at the 3/4 mark. I put both pieces of foam together, made sure they're lined up and flush with each other the best I can. And then I'm just going to push this through, centered with the dot as best I can. And I'm just popping this through both pieces of foam, kind of just twisting this. You don't want to do it too fast, because if you do it too fast, you might rip your foam. Let's see what we got. I got both pieces, and we got 2 holes. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking I probably should have went smaller, but I'm sure I can work with this. If so, I'll just cut 2 more pieces and just redo it. But we'll worry about that when that time comes. Now we're going to start assembling the bottom column base. So first I have some tiny little pins here because I like to use these to hold this in place if need be, and I'll tell you what, it need be. So first I will take some Eileen's tacky glue and I will draw a line on here, or a bead of glue, and take one of these pieces. I'll take the 1-inch piece and I'll put it on here and line that up on there the best I can. Wipe off any excess glue if I need to. And then I will take a pin or 2 and push this through to help keep it in place. And then I will do the other one, the other corner, and then we'll move on. Now we'll take the 3/4 inch thick foam and we'll see if we can get that to fit in there. And for some reason, it does not look like it's going to fit. So A, when I was cutting the foam, it didn't cut it right. Or B, when I placed these pieces of foam in, they're off just a little bit. So to correct that, I'm just going to grab a piece of foam here, or a piece of foam. I'm just going to grab a piece of sandpaper here and just sand this down just a little bit. Easy fix. What I should have done, and I didn't think about it on the other piece, is I should have glued along the wall. So that's my stupidity on that part. And now that that is all put together, it should look something like this. When the glue dries, we'll take the pins out, and that will be done and out of the way. Now with cutting your bricks, you can use different thicknesses for the bricks. You can do a 1/8, you can do 1/16, you can do 3/16 if you want. It all depends on what you want. You just want a variety of different sizes and different depths of the brick. You don't want it all to be the same. Then it's kind of boring. And you can do it that way if you want, but it's always good to have different depths and different heights and stuff. So you can do some random pieces. They don't all have to be a 1/4 inch in thickness or in height or any of that. You can do random stuff. So you just do whatever feels right to you. So now I have my strips here, which I do need to have more, but I already have some bricks made from previous videos So I am just going to use these 3 for now, just to show the example. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some tin foil and just roll it on the top, on the foam, and get some texture on it. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on it. Just want to get some texture on it. And then after you got some texture on there, you're just going to put them together and just cut some random lengths, anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2, maybe 5/8, maybe 1/3, who knows, whatever measurement you want. But I'm just going to randomly just cut some sizes and mix it up a bit. So when you're all done getting all your tiles set for all your brickwork, you go ahead and throw them in a cup with a lid, throw in some rocks, and shake the heck out of it. And this will give it some texture and dull out those sharp corners and make them look more like a brick.